Hey there, welcome back to Creepy Encounters. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the videos. Serious, 911 operators of Reddit, what is a call that keeps you up at night? I'm a firefighter and I overheard a call on the radio from another unit. They were dispatched to a possible suicide. The information given while the crews were en route was patient's wife came home and found a note on the door saying, "Honey, I'm already gone. If you're reading this, please do not come in and see me like this." The crews arrived and the next thing you hear on the radio was the paramedic telling dispatch code 4, meaning patient is deceased, and in the background you can hear the wife screaming bloody murder as loud as she could. It was chilling. I was a dispatcher about 17 years ago. There were some funny calls I like to talk about, like the person who wanted to complain that their drug dealer stole their laptop. The one I don't like the most is the long call with the woman who was concerned about the landlord who didn't like her and her boyfriend was in the background confirming her statements that the landlord was creepy. They found her body floating in the river the next day, except it turned out it was the boyfriend who killed her. Also, the recorded calls you have to listen to during training where they intentionally play you the sound of people dying on the phone while talking to a dispatcher so that you understand what the job might entail and they can see how you react to it to see if you can stomach it and keep talking and providing details to units. 1 a.m. and the phone rings and I pick up to hear a man screaming on the other end. No words. Just screaming. Finally get him to tell me what happened and he told me he heard a gunshot in his house and went to see what happened and found his brother in his room. He had shot himself. I was playing Counter-Strike, source with my best friend. When he gets a phone call on his homeland line he ignored it because in all likelihood it could have been a telemarketer and we were mid-game. It goes to voicemail and I hear a lady screaming into the phone, not making too much sense but screaming for Deb, his mom. The lobby can hear it all too and everything just gets quiet. Which if you've played Counter-Strike this never happens, usually someone is trolling or shit talking, but literally everyone in game had stopped. I still remember the map, it was gun game on house. It was surreal. Like we all knew something awful had just happened. Then the lady over the voicemail screamed and sobbed that she'd just found my best friend's father dead. He'd shot himself while visiting his parents. The lady was his mother, she found him in their kitchen after being away for a while. My friend just sorta laughed and said, "Well, my dad killed himself." He logged off and I followed after. I went to his place after that. I don't remember much of the rest of that day or the following. It was a lot to deal with for all of us. I always feel bad saying that, but the guy was my guitar teacher and my friend. I know he was my best friend's dad, but it still got to me too even if I put up a tough front for him. We did a burial at sea over in Long Beach. There's a group that helps. It was really beautiful. My best friend moved away after that. His mom slowly lost her mind. I have no idea where he is anymore and I miss him every day. I hope I find him someday. Love you, man. One thing that makes me horrified to this day was when I was first staring out as a 911 operator. I picked up the phone and I heard an older woman on the line say that someone was in her house and she didn't have anyone or anything to protect her. She then told me that she was hiding and whoever it was is coming near her. I then heard silence on the line. I later found out she was kidnapped and never found. I still have nightmares about that day and I wish there was something I could do. I got a 911 call about a vehicle that ran off the road. The caller told me that the female driver was unconscious but had a pulse. He then proceeded to tell me that the passenger was a fatal. I asked if he had checked for a pulse, at which point he told me no. It was a young child that had been decapitated. I asked him to find anything he could to cover the child because I didn't want the mother to regain consciousness and have that be the last image she had of her child. It was 9:30 a.m. I'd been on shift since 7 a.m. All the ambulances had checked in for morning mileage and radio checks. All was good. Call comes in on the emergency line. "My son is not breathing." "Okay, we got this." Start going through the steps of checking for a pulse/breath while dispatching the closest ambulance. I'm almost to the part where we start CPR when the ambulance calls back, "Dispatch, our rig is dead." You got to be fucking kidding me. You called in this morning with a radio check. Did you not check your goddamn ambulance? Nearest ambulance is one whole county over. 30 minutes. 30 minutes for a situation that needs immediate medical intervention. The mother is screaming on the phone, crying. The sister comes in and starts screaming the name of her brother. I have to tell them the ETA for an ambulance is 30 minutes. It's been almost 10 years since I was in EMS dispatch and I occasionally wake up in a cold sweat thinking about that call. Worst call I got was when I worked overtime on Christmas Day and got a call from a father who returned from a business trip and found his 19-year-old son hanging in the bedroom. Haunts me until today. I had a witness to a fatal motorcycle collision on the phone with me, and he goes, someone's crossing the road to help, oh my god, she just got hit by a car, she's dead too. And he just screamed and hung up. An off-duty nurse who stopped to help the motorcycle rider was hit by another car and killed. It was on the news later, and I found out she had a husband and 2 very young kids. I was on workers' comp for about 3 weeks while I recovered from that one. 999 call taker, radio dispatcher from the UK here. One of my scariest calls came from a man who was on a train viaduct which was at least 200 feet high and was planning on jumping. He was 19 years old and has just lost his mother to cancer and had no other family to speak of. Now our control room had CCTV cameras from around the towns and cities that we covered, and I shouted across the room for someone to bring the camera up that covered the viaduct for me. Sure enough, around halfway along the viaduct and leaning precariously against the high rail was the guy I was talking to. I introduced myself and said that I could see where he was and that I hoped we could talk and get him to come down and get help. So I'm talking to this lovely, quietly spoken man who is crying softly as he speaks to me, saying he has nothing left to live for. His mother had been the center of his whole life, especially so since she had contracted cancer, and he had cared for her alone. As I am talking to him and trying to convince him to climb down, I hear a radio call in my earpiece and my supervisor frantically shouting that a train is coming along that line, and unless we get this man off the viaduct he won't have to jump as the high-speed train is going to hit him. At this point I am literally shaking, pleading with the man to get to one of the small setback areas on the viaduct used by rail workers. He luckily agrees, and I tell him to stay on the call as he starts making his way as quick as he can to the nearest safe point. I can hear his labored, panicked breathing through my earpiece, and suddenly I hear the unmistakable sound of the train approaching, and the noise is so loud I can no longer hear the man I'm talking to, so all I can do is listen to the sound of the train racing past. Then it's silent. I hardly dare speak. I say the man's name. "Are you okay? Can you hear me?" Finally, in a shaky voice, he answers and says he is safe and just shaken up. He walks to the end of the viaduct, where he is met by police officers and an ambulance and is taken off to hospital, and that's the last I speak to him. This call is as clear in my mind as the day I answered it. I can still remember the feeling of absolute terror as the train approached, and being terrified that was he not quick enough he was going to suffer a horrific death. Some things never leave your memories. I just pray he went on to live a happy, healthy life. Early on in my career, I took a call from a father who found his 12-year-old daughter hanging. Her legs were still kicking and he was in a panic as to what to do. I never learned the outcome of that call, but I never forgot the panic in his voice, and now as a parent I know I never will. I worked the UK equivalent, 999. My job was to route calls to fire, police or ambulance. I had no medical training, and the calls that had me quit were as below. About 9 at night, a woman calls calmly asking for an ambulance as her husband had passed out. After 10+ minutes of trying to get London Ambulance to answer the phone, she hangs up. I stay on the line, and another 10 minutes later they answer. I relay the situation and address, and they confirm they'll do a drive-by, basically get the nearest available unit to visit the property, see what's happening. Half an hour later the same woman calls back, exact same reason for calling. Once again I'm on hold for London Ambulance to answer for 10+ minutes. Out of the blue she comes onto the phone and calmly says, "Don't bother, he's just died," and puts the phone down again. This time it doesn't disconnect, and I hear the most heart-wrenching wail of despair from the same woman. She then goes into a teary rant about how useless everything is and how London Ambulance killed her husband, before the line cuts off again. Get through to the ambulance service, explain everything, and the operator confirms the drive-by got cancelled because the ambulance it was assigned to had finished their shift. I didn't sleep that night and cried more tears than I ever had done previously. Next day I went into the office an hour before my shift was set to start, emptied my locker, gave all my work stuff to my boss, and quit on the spot. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more real-life creepy encounters around the world. See you in the next video. Bye.